MegaPodTastic.
Good morning, MegaPodlings. It's Krazy Joe. Guess what? As of today, as of Tuesday, August 11th, Mill Creek Entertainment, our friends at Mill Creek Entertainment, have brought Eureka, the complete series, to Blu-ray. Eureka was one of my favorite shows when it was on the air. It aired on the Sci-Fi Channel until about roughly 2012, I think. It ran for 5 seasons. It was a great show, terrific sci-fi show, very quirky, a lot of fun. And we were fortunate enough to have one of the cast members of Eureka on the podcast as a guest. The link is in the show notes. If you go down below, look for the link. You can find the link to the all-new MegaPodTastic episode 24 with Neil Grayston from Eureka. And he talked about at the time of the recording, he was promoting the 5th season of the show. And there's some spoilers in there, but if you're a fan of the show, give that interview a listen. And I'm representing that interview to you now in honor of the series hitting Blu-ray in a complete Blu-ray set from our friends at Mill Creek. So please go out to wherever you buy Blu-rays, whether it be Amazon, your local brick and mortar store. Get your hands on the Blu-ray set of Eureka. You'll be happy you did. And in the meantime, here's an interview with Neil Grayston, who played the role of Douglas Fargo on this series for all 5 seasons. Thank you, Neil, for being with us. Thank you to you guys for listening. Thank you to Mill Creek Entertainment for making this show possible. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy yet. I'm hoping to get my hands on the Blu-ray very, very soon. And when I do, you will get a full review, but it has not yet arrived. So I don't have my physical copy of that Blu-ray yet, but it's coming. And there will be a review. But in the meantime, Doug Fargo from Eureka, Neil Grayston himself.
What's the word on the street?
Allow myself to introduce
Isn't that right, Mr. Poopy Pants?
We have so many questions that we want to ask you about the universe. You guys ever been to Uranus?
This is Krazy Joe.
And this is Christine.
And we have another big guest with us today, and you have seen him on Smallville, Supernatural, Dead Like Me. He was a regular on the tragically short-lived series Wonder Falls, but you best know him as the voice of Sarah and as Douglas Fargo, Sarah's creator on Eureka. Neil Grayston is with us. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you. We're big Eureka fans.
Definitely.
Very disappointed that the show is going into its final season, but there is something that's been rattling around in my head for a year now, and I'm wondering if maybe you can shed some light on it. About a year ago, we had Allison Scagliotti as a guest on our show.
Ah, yes.
And at the time, she mentioned that the new season of Warehouse 13 was starting, and she mentioned that they could not do a 2-part crossover with Eureka because you guys had episodes banked up from the writer's strike. And that got my spider senses tingling, and I started wondering if maybe the show was going to be in trouble because you know the mentality of why pay for something that we have a pile of already. Do you think that had anything to do to contribute with the cancellation?
You know, I don't actually really know. And, I mean, we had, filmed so much stuff so early. Like, season 4, which was, split into season 4 and 5, was we filmed that, especially for the second half of season 4, we filmed that a year before it aired. So I don't know, it might have been one of those things where we got enough episodes. We were getting to be pretty expensive because every year everyone gets a bump up, from the crew to the cast and everything. So it could have just been a cost cutting measure, but I don't know. It's all speculation on my side. I don't really understand the business side of it as much as I would like to. And there's also, a lot of different factors. I think Comcast had just bought NBC Universal from General Electric, so there's probably a little bit of shakeup going on in there. It's just sort of one of those giant interconnected things where, in the end, it probably came down to business, not so much the creative side. Because we ended last season with our highest ratings ever, and I think story-wise, we were, we really got it all together for actually these last seasons 4 and 5, I think are my favorite that we've done. in terms of just like where the characters are and the storytelling and the arcs and everything like that. So, yeah, I don't know, speculation from me.
Well, it does seem a little unprecedented to be shooting like a full year before what you're doing is seen. From an actor's standpoint, has that been odd or out of the ordinary?
I think so. In connection to, I mean, they spend so much time doing the visual effects. I think that's why they film it so far ahead. And I mean, it really shows. I think like some of the stuff coming up on the season premiere, which I got to see, just blows my mind. I think we look like a multi-million-dollar movie. But yeah, I've been on all sorts of things. I've been on things that have filmed and they've aired maybe 3 weeks later, and then I've also been on things, yeah, like Eureka, where it's a full year, going on. Me and Colin were doing some commentary actually on the episodes, and we figured that it had actually been over a year since we had started doing that episode that we were filming or that we were doing the commentary on. We're kind of like, wow, I don't really remember what happens in this that much anymore. It's like it was so far away. But I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's a little bit odd. It's kind of neat though, because then I get to go back and watch it live with everyone else and sort of see and remember kind of what we had done a year ago. It's like stepping back into the past.
You mentioned the effects. How is it working with a green screen? Is it ever a case where what you perceive is not what ends up on film?
Yeah, that's happened a few times. I actually really like doing the effects stuff because it's so technical. It's a totally different side of acting because, you're acting with something that's not there, and then you have to do another take where there's a guy walking with like a silver ball on a stick in front of you, and you have to pretend that's like Martha flying around or something like that, and it all really looks quite ridiculous when you do it. And then when you get to see the final product, it's like, oh, that's really cool. And sometimes things look like a lot better than you expected, which is, I find that happens on Eureka all the time, where they'll just like put these little tiny touches in that just sort of sell the whole thing. Like I remember a scene where Tiny was walking through the city street, and they had a glint on its metal that was super subtle, and they also put in one of the windows in a shop, they had this really subtle reflection going by and everything. So I don't know, it's kind of some of my favorite stuff to do.
When we last saw Fargo and the Estrellas crew, they vanished, and we were left with a cliffhanger of not knowing where they are. Now, I read the description of the season premiere in my TiVo's listings, and It says the plot summary it gives is the Estrellas crew returns, and the crew realizes they've been on a 4-year journey. Are you telling me that we're jumping 4 years in the future?
Well, yeah, I guess if the TiVo tells you that, yeah. It's pretty interesting what they get into after those 4 years as well. There's a lot of sort of relationship changes and some personnel changes, especially at Global Dynamics and Eureka, involving security and things like that. It's pretty crazy what it's like.
So this is the second time this series has done something like this to us, because at the beginning of season 4 we had that timeline shift. In all the years I've been watching television, I think you guys are taking an unprecedented record as the series most willing to shake up the norm whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. It's this one is very different. It's not just like a rehashing of what happened in season 4. It's actually there's quite a giant loop gets thrown that you will see at the very end of the episode. Which is really cool, I think. But yeah, we have done we've definitely done a lot of time shifting. I think in season 2, there was a bit of the time shift too with Henry and Jack, and didn't they change the past somehow with the artifact? I can't remember exactly what happened, but there was a thing with Kim and everything like that. So I guess we're running at what, 3 now? 3 time travels?
Wow, and it just makes you wonder where you guys would have gone next.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool thing about your show and your writers. There's so many shows out there that they go on too long, and you're like, well, this is getting tired and this is getting old. But that's never a concern on your show, because your writers always shake it up, so it's something new all the time.
Yeah, and I think the thing too is that when they shake it up, they still keeps the characters as a solid core, which is a good thing. I think like my thing with a lot of shows and like them running too long, I find that sometimes they get too sort of like ensconced in their own mythology that it becomes almost like a really inside thing, or like really internal, where like you can't just jump in and watch it if you haven't watched it from the beginning, because it's completely in its own world. Whereas with Eureka, I like the fact that I can tell people, you know, if they haven't seen it, like, you know what, just start with season 4. You know, everything shakes up, and you'll understand eventually who everyone is, and it's just sort of like that's a good jumping into it point, you know. So I don't know. It's really nice to have the writers that we have who are amazing, who are now on alphas. So I mean, check that out when it comes back on, because it's probably going to have the heart of Eureka going on now.
Regarding the question of where the Astraeus went at the end of last season, is that something you're going to answer quickly, or will that be a running theme through the season?
It's a bit of both. I mean, I think the first 3 episodes all kind of come together in sort of one, and explaining where they went and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to give anything away, but it gets really cool, and it really does inform a lot of the stuff that happens later on in the season. So it's a tight season this year. It's a really good arc, I think.
Is Felicia Day back this season?
Felicia is back, yes. Yeah. We had a lot of fun there. And Will Wheaton's back as well.
It was really fun, and I agree with what you said about the show's just been getting better as it goes along. I think your last 2 seasons, 3 and 4, have been probably your strongest seasons. The chemistry between Felicia and Will Wheaton and yourself has just been really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, they jumped into the show, and they felt like part of the family right away. It was so effortless. And working with them is fun because we're all friends. We get along really well. We like a lot of the same things. So it's just sort of like, oh, great, I get to go and play with my friends all day and get paid for it and have a good time doing it. This is pretty awesome. I like my job.
I have a question regarding the Sarah Twitter account. It seems to have stopped tweeting in December. Will that start again with the new season?
I don't know. I hope so, because I always kind of like it. It was, I'm not even sure who actually does it, but I would hope that they would get that done. I mean, if it was one of the writers that was doing it, they might be busy. It's like basically half of the team from Eureka moved over to do alphas now. So who knows? So yeah, I'm hoping.
So what about alphas and Warehouse 13? Are we going to be seeing Fargo pop up again on one of those shows? Has that been discussed yet?
No discussion just yet. I mean, that would be really fun. I know Warehouse right now is on a break for about a month from filming, and the writers are in the room writing up a storm. So, I don't know. Like, that would be cool. I love going over and doing Warehouse anyway, because everyone there is like my second family, or my second TV family. And so, yeah, I hope so. I was actually, like, we were talking about Allison Scagliotti earlier, but we just had brunch today.
Well, I would like to see you become the Worf of the Eureka-verse and just pop up all over the place.
That would be awesome. I would do that.
With the Astraeus crew being missing for 4 years, does that create a problem for potential crossovers with Alphas or Warehouse 13? Because with those shows not also shifting ahead 4 years, Fargo should be lost in space to those characters.
You would think so. I mean, I think the answer to that is,
clever writing.
Watch the show, and all will be revealed.
I can't wait to see it. Now, as an actor, these dramatic changes to the character's normal world around him, how do you deal with that? With these time shifts, and you find out the character's missed 4 years. Is that a real challenge as an actor, or do you just roll with it?
Well, for me, I mean, that's what acting is. You never want to settle into like a rote performance, so it's always good to be shaken up a bit, and then you have to just, figure out, like, how would the character deal with this? What's the new way of doing it? And that's what I like as an actor, is trying to, like, expand my character and expand the, performance and everything. So for me, it's the optimal thing to do. When they told me the idea for it, I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. We go back in time and change the future. All right. And then like 3 episodes in, you go back and fix it. So, okay. And they're like, nope, we just leave it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty gutsy to do. And I'm really pleased with it and how, like, the writers pulled it off so well, to the point now where I almost, like, think of the first 3 seasons. I'm like, wait, oh, yeah, I used to be the assistant. I didn't always wear suits and stuff. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that season, actually.
What else can you tell us about season 5 without Sci-Fi throwing a fit and coming after you?
Whew. Geez. That's a funny thing. I was discussing this with Colin, too. Season 4 and 5, to me, kind of are all blending together now, because we did them, it's been a year since we were filming, almost. But
has it been a year since you wrapped season 5?
Actually, no, I'm wrong. We wrapped season 5 in September, so
Okay.
half a year. But, I mean, we worked at such a breakneck pace on them, and they have, both of the seasons have such an arc that it's sort of like, okay, which one? Season 5, what was our arc for that one? It's like, oh, yeah, we did that. And I think because season 4 was airing at the same time, it was like all my wires were getting kind of crossed. But, I mean, there's Fargo has a lot of, sort of emotional growth stuff this season, where I really got to actually sort of step out from just being like, wacky Fargo, just push the button. So there's, a lot of that sort of stuff. I think, like, everyone just, like, really got to sort of get into their characters this season. And, of course, we always have a lot of humor and a lot of action, as, because that's kind of what our show is. But as to specifics, I don't know what I can and can't say. So I'm just going to say it's a really awesome season. And I hope a lot of people watch it, because, that'll be cool to go out on a really high note.
In your opinion, because of the fast schedule, did you have time to create an ending that will tie it all together, or do we just have to wait and see?
For like Jamie Pollia, he's the co-creator and co-showrunner. I believe it was Jamie wrote the finale in 2 or 3 days, or something like that. It's something insane, and I think it's one of our best episodes as well. I think people will be really people will be pleased with the ending, I think.
Except that it's ending.
Except for the fact that it's ending. But I mean, it's not like Wonder Falls that, well, I guess they did sort of plan to perhaps be canceled in the first season, so there was like a decent wrap up. But I'm thinking, like, I just watched The Black Donnellys. I don't know if you've seen that. It's on Netflix now. It's Paul Haggis one. And it was a really good show, and then it just ends. And you're like, oh, and I can't even see anything else. I just watched 13 episodes of this awesome show, and now I've got no closure. So I think at least, even though we're going out, at least we're going out with closure.
You mentioned Wonder Falls. I think you gave me the perfect segue, because I just have to ask, was that really your hair, or was that a wig?
Because that was actually my hair. We would spend some time. Look, what had happened, like, the reason I kind of had that was a year prior, I did a pilot with Todd Holland, who also did Wonder Falls, where I had to play a 17th century monk that was, like, ripped through time. Like, Kevin Smith actually was in that pilot as well, who plays Deputy Andy. And then, for some reason, my hair just, whenever I got it cut, it would go back into this kind of bowl-like thing, but I could sort of use it. And then, when I went and did the audition, he was like, hey, you kind of still have the same hair as before. Let's just make it more ridiculous. So we just would curl it under and, make it look like that silly thing that it was.
That show was tragically cut short. Anyone who has not seen Wonder Falls has to track it down and watch every episode, because that was a fun show.
Yeah, that was a really good one. That was probably the rawest deal for like a show that I've been on, where it was like we just started kind of mid-March, slapped on Friday with like some reality show where the lady had to figure out whether the guys were gay or straight, chew on it to date or something. It was like, wow, this is a great tie-in for, what we are. And then, yeah, just sort of like 4 episodes, and then we were done. And luckily, we had such a cult fan base, and the internet really got behind it. That's actually what got the DVDs released, was our Wonderfalls people campaigning.
Yeah, it was a show. It was it's tragic, but I think Fox at that time, they've gotten better, but at that time, I guess the writing was on the wall, because that was the Firefly
they were kind of going
time
into
as well.
transition.
But I don't want to.
Firefly, that was the thing. Tim Minear was he did Firefly, I believe, and they begged him to come on our show, and he was like, "No, I can't do it. This has been like 3 years. This will be, if I come on and they cancel it, it'll be 3 times in 3 years that Fox has canceled me." And they're like, "Please." And it's like, "Okay, but we have to have like a proper ending to wrap it up, just in case." And so that's why that was there.
Now you did a movie called End of the World.
I did, yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, it was it's one of those Saturday night sci-fi disaster movies, and it was really fun. It was about the end of the world, but it's kind of different than the other ones. It really sort of pokes fun at those types of movies. It's not like a straight up just wacky comedy. There's a lot of action and fun stuff in it, but it's Greg Grunberg and I play video store clerks who are trying to save the world from an imminent disaster with our encyclopedic knowledge of disaster movies. And it got, it was a pretty nuts one. We got to really sort of play around and kind of improv scenes and sort of banter back and forth a lot. So I'm really excited to see what it turns out and how it turns out and what it looks like. But I had a blast doing it, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy it.
Sounds like the Scream of disaster movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's tongue-in-cheek, but it's not a spoof. It's like a sort of like homage, I guess. I don't know. Have fun times.
Do you know when we're going to see that?
I don't, actually. I never really know when they're going to release those guys. There's so many factors, and I know they said they were going to have to take about 6 months for post-production to do the effects and everything, so hopefully we'll see it this year. I mean, if it's called End of the World, you probably want to put it out in 2012, right? Just,
Yeah, before it's too late.
And it's going to be a Sci-Fi Channel Saturday night film?
Yeah. Yeah, unless they shift those films to nights other than Saturday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, look forward to seeing that. So what's next for Neil Grayston? What do you have lined up now that Eureka's done?
Well, I produced a movie 2 years ago that has been taking a while to finish, which now we're like at the home stretch, and that should be, once we're finished with the sound mixing and everything like that, then I guess we'll see where that goes. But other than that, I'm actually in kind of a working no man's land. I am waiting to hear about my approval for my green card so that I can legally work in the States and everything. So I'm just sort of like sitting here waiting for the government to do stuff, and then once I get that, then I can sort of get back to things and try to actually work again, which will be fun.
All right, so you live in Vancouver year-round?
Well, I actually live in LA now.
Okay.
But that's like a recent move. But yes, I'm from Vancouver. I still have my place there. I'm just sort of trying to get the double thing going on now, just because it's been a while. So why not? Why not, be able to work in the States?
Well, we look forward to seeing the new season. It premieres Monday the 16th on the Powerful Mondays on Sci-Fi, and I believe they're teaming you up with the second season of Lost Girl?
Yep. Who the on-set producer for that, Grant, who was actually the on-set producer for Eureka in season 2 and 3, I believe. So there's a little link there.
Well, very cool. We look forward to seeing it. Everyone, check it out. And if you are not watching Eureka up till now, the early seasons are on Netflix Instant Viewing, so catch up. You've got about a day to do so, and it's worth doing. But yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. I'm sorry to see it go, but I'm not going to get too down. I'm just going to enjoy what's left.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah, we've got a really great season. The production values are ridiculous. as well this season. Like, I feel like we've made multi-million-dollar movies each episode. So, very excited.
Well, thanks for being with us, Neil. We appreciate it.
Great speaking with you. Thanks for your time.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Keep wearing those pajamas with the plastic feet. Keep wearing those pajamas. Tell everyone you meet. Keep wearing those pajamas with the back door flap. Keep wearing those pajamas. Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander pajamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. I know we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.